Okay, I believe we are online and we are streaming. Let us share. Oh, I do the share again. Oh, I think I need the YouTube. Yeah. Something like that. Okay, so the audio decided to cut out a little early this time. Hopefully that'll be it. Um, and then we'll just be able to get through this without me needing to pay too much attention to it. Uh, yeah, no, I was just saying. Yeah, we're starting a little late. I just had a late dinner, and I was watching an episode of this Batman show, Batman Caped Crusader on Amazon. That's the one that where it takes place in the 1940s. Uh, and the episode was pretty good. It's got a lot of voice talent in it. The show, which makes it a little worth watching. But overall, it hasn't been great. It hasn't done anything that's like really hooked me yet. But I do like the setting. So I put on an episode every once in a while. Uh, but I think, given the late hour, we should probably just get going with the chapter. Um, so we are here to discuss chapter 28 of Zatch Bell 2. We are in the midst of Momon's daring. I don't know if you call it an escape, but his evasion of the forces trying to capture him, and his fight against the monster Libra, this creepy plant monster. So Momon has caught and saved Ponygon's spell vial from Libra, and he's flipped sort of out of the way, grabbing the spell. He skids on the ground, still kind of upside down, away from the monster. But he can hardly get back up. He's still pretty injured. I did it. I've got Umagon's spells back. Now all I have to do is get the heck out of here. Remarkable. You managed to snatch the vial before Libra could collect it. It's Moses. He's back. Libra, the flying dentures. Pretty funny thing to yell. The audio's not out. I know what you're talking about, Dashboard Gamer. The audio is good on my end. Audio looks fine. I'll pull up the stream if you want. Yeah, Zatchbo Gamer, the audio is good. I don't know what to tell you. I can hear it on the stream. Yeah, I think it's been good for a minute. We'll go back and you can go back and hear those other lines later if you want. So he tells Libra to cast this spell, Jibira Daruk, firing a bunch of, in a sense, dentures, teeth with sort of gums attached. I don't know if they're supposed to be fully made of bone or what. From his mouth specifically, he fires a whole bunch of them. and they all are trying to chomp shink shink, kind of like bear traps, at Momon, who is avoiding them pretty well until he feels a twinge of pain and trips, and that's the moment when one of these dentures, which they even have hinges on them, gets him. Ah! So that's pretty rough. It looks like a really rough bite that he got. Okay, it was accidental mute. Hey, it happens. So this is an interesting spell. I would guess that it is a Go Fure spell, or Go Free, as the modern new translations used. But I don't know. I don't really remember what vials Libra picked up in previous chapter. And I also kind of wonder if the target only has one mouth, would it only send out one of the teeth? I don't know. But it's kind of a neat spell. Early on, it might have been a pretty challenging spell to avoid, for if Zatch and Kyo had faced it. Anyway, unfortunately, Momon was not able to avoid all of these, and he was hit by the spell. Got you. So this thing is still attached to Momon, but he continues running while these other teeth are sort of bouncing up after him. And Libra is moving more slowly. This is Moses, reporting that the intruder is still at large. He has been identified as Momon and is currently running through building number 2. There's a lot of guys outside. Libra's whatever game he's playing is very strange. Because so he is working with Libra, which means that he sort of actively sent this monster to kill his own people. But a lot of the guys he's commanding don't really seem to know about that, yet he mentions Libra in this announcement. It's very bizarre. I don't really understand that. They even seem to know, I mean, from the way he talks, it's almost like they even know that he has the bear trap ability, though that's unlikely. He could just be letting them know, yeah, here's how it happened. Libra has bear trap projectiles. It's just odd. I don't really know like what the knowledge level is on Libra from the rest of the group. I think they knew Libra before he became a monster, so maybe that's just kind of what Moses is trying to do, is to say, yeah, it's the Libra that you know, and they don't really know that Libra's become like this massive monster that's killing them. And I don't know if that is going to figure into anything, if eventually we could maybe turn them against Moses, or I'm not really sure. His ability to move has been greatly impaired as a result. Based solely on the amount of blood he's lost, I don't imagine he'd be able to carry himself any further than a single kilometer. He is continuing to lose blood. He was actually trying, you can see him sitting down trying to get the teeth off for a second, but he's not able to. Focus your attention on the central doorway that leads out of building number 2, and allow me to remind you what you should be on the lookout for. A stylish young man dressed in all pink with the face of a monkey and the ears of a rabbit. Well, actually, I suppose now he's in tatters, stained red with his own blood. That is all. And he thinks, ha ha, such a witty quip. I impress even myself sometimes. Funny guy, funny guy. Just readjusting the windows here. I forget, I normally like to have OBS and the manga visible at the same time. Here we go. All right, there we go, we're good. Okay, moving on. Now then, we need to make sure he doesn't slip through our fingers again. Turn the fan off up here. I turned it up too much. So he sits down, looks at this map. Libra, how many spells are you able to consume? 11. Then it should be feasible to split you up into separate parts. So he's opened this tool bag that contains a huge number of small tools. First, an anesthetic. I'm not entirely sure how that anesthetic would work for that massive monster, but it must be some very powerful anesthetic. He chops off 3 of Libra's tentacles with a sword. Some tissue from here, an organ from there. So he's doing some extremely quick mad science surgery on this monster. He is cutting him open and removing small organs and stuff. Reminds me of the movie Crimes of the Future, where there was a guy who did this as an art piece. He would grow weird, useless organs in his body, and he would have them removed live in front of an audience. It's an interesting movie. And so he's taking these organs out of Libra, and he's putting them in the Libra tentacles. And this is all happening presumably very quickly. It's sort of his ability. Okay, so what was that, the last page the preview ended on, or what exactly are you saying? So yeah, he's putting these organs into the tentacles. I'm not sure what he's biting onto there. I think it might just be a snack. And he's stitching them back up, and then they come to life as creatures. They grow these little I don't know what you would call them, mandibles or something, and they grow little eyes or something on the top, on the front, and they start moving around. So this is a very interesting ability of Libra's. It's this sort of high-speed, mad science surgery that he's able to do. I wonder if he'd be able to do anything else with that. I don't know, but he's been able to create these creatures, just through his pure knowledge. It also means Libra must have a lot of organs for him to do 4 of these, actually, not 3. Remember the scent of this blood. Now hunt him down! So it looks like, I'm not sure if these tentacles really make any noise. But they're on their way. Looking for Momon. Momon, who is going through this vent. It's a very tiny vent that he can barely fit in. He's squirming through it, just using his own body to move. Once again, it's sort of a Solid Snake type thing, except normally the vents that Snake crawls into, he can have a little more maneuverability in. So he senses these worms coming towards him. They're on my tail, 10 meters behind me and closing. He senses another one. They're even coming from the front, too. He kicks open a vent, similar to how he kicked the vent in before to escape through it. And pokes out, falls out. The tentacles follow him on the ground. Thankfully, they're not too big of a threat. But the enemies immediately see him, point their weapons at him. Seize him! And they attack. So then we get one of these crazy sequences. I know Raiku's definitely done this before. I'm not sure how many times he's done this. The notable time that and I'm sure many of you watching this will remember, is during Kanchame versus Buzurai, when the Kanchame clones team up in this very long, drawn-out sequence where we see every single movement of them against Buzurai. And this is a little similar to that. We're seeing sort of every step of this. If you look at these panels, you can really follow along with exactly what's going on. Where, there's 3 enemies. You see the first guy coming in, Momon dodges. The first guy accidentally hits one of the tentacles. The second tentacle dodges. Meanwhile, Momon is now in between the 2 guys. The second tentacle's coming at Momon. And there's another guy with a spear that misses, and with sort of a bludgeoning weapon that also misses. And Momon is sort of flipping up behind them. They turn around to try to hit him, and they swing and miss with 2 of their weapons at him. and then Momon continues on. So it's a short sequence, but it is quite cool how you can sort of follow along from that. However, as he's about to continue on, his leg wound finally gets the best of him, and he trips and is smacked in the back by this bludgeoning weapon. Back of the head, I think. But he does not go down. He almost does. You see, his eyes kind of go white. But he does not go down. He still remains on his feet and staggers away as quickly as possible. He gets into this sort of chute, and he escapes down it, squirming down, similar to what he did before, in between two of the buildings, through these vents. And he emerges in some weird garbage processing room or something on top of a lot of garbage. Thankfully, it breaks his fall. My left leg, almost no feeling left. I can't. Lost too much blood. Not enough strength. His ears twitch. He senses something else. No way. He's coming for me? And he's this close? The tentacles are coming out of the vent that he went through. Just need something flammable that can make some smoke. He jumps out of the trash area. There he is! It's the Bat. If I've been thinking about Batman, that has to come into to my mind. Moment has been spotted at the waste disposal facility in building number 4. We see some kind of bird flying ahead. He shook off his attackers and headed up to the 2nd floor. Why would he climb even higher? There are soldiers stationed on the upper floors, not to mention the windows that would give away his location. Either he had no choice but to take refuge up there, or... I wonder... So, he's walking through with Libra following. I believe you can actually see, I didn't notice this before, that Libra's regrowing the tentacles he lost on the right side of his body, our left. And the tentacles are a little, smaller and stubbier on that side. He's also got these 2 weird tentacles I don't remember seeing before. And that end in these sort of 4-pronged claws or something. I don't remember if you've seen those. Jasper Gamer says that's interesting. We see Libra walking and questioning the announcement. I think at this point some other soldier got hold of the intercom. You mean Moses is walking, right? I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that it might be another soldier announcing that. So Momon is climbing up a vent now. I don't know how the hell he's doing this with his leg. And he's got stuff that he's bringing with him on top of his head. Chuba must be worried and came looking for me. It's gotta be why he's around here now. So yes, that was Chuba we saw earlier on this page, actually flying in the sky. I was wondering if Chuba would show up again. He probably heard their announcement from outside the stronghold. It gave my name and a rough idea of where I am. And that means I can only think of only one way out of here without being seen by the enemy. A spot that wouldn't have been marked on any map. The small part of the roof that was damaged and only had a few temporary repairs done to it. Oh, I don't know if I can get Ponygon. Ponygon is, he's dead. So he's a mummy right now. I don't really think I can use him in this state, but we'll see him next. I don't know. Maybe I should try. I'll give it a shot. This will be his last time. This is Ponygon's last time voicing another character. Most likely. He was voicing this young Momoto child previously. Chuba, look! There we go. And I think that's the last time we're going to see Ponygon voicing a different character. And yes, he will most likely remain as a mummy until next chapter. So we will see there. He already got a little. The movement already took some of these wrappings off here. Okay, so Chuba notices this plume of smoke coming from this section in the. Oh my God! Can you see that? Or is that just that's from the keyboard? I was zooming the camera in just from pressing the down or up arrows. Didn't know it could do that. Anyway, yes. So Momon, this is obviously a minute or two has passed. He's created this fire. It's creating a plume of smoke through the roof, and he is now just sitting there. He's almost out of energy, waiting to be rescued. Good. He's noticed. He's coming. Come on, body. Work with me here. Almost there. He manages to climb up this ladder, still with his injuries, emerging from the roof to see Moses with Chuba holding the sword up to his neck, threatening him as a hostage. He's already injured Chuba's wing, clearly. Momon is, it takes a minute to realize what's going on. He still almost has a look of hope on his face. But is there hope? What an impressive display. Enemy or no, I can't help but admire your unbridled tenacity. This bird caught my eye as we made our way over to building number 4, and I didn't need to track your body heat to know what you were planning up here. I merely disabled the magic so that your ears wouldn't detect my arrival, and waited for you to come to me. I've already sliced the tendons of these wings. Flight is no longer an option, and thus, what little chance you did have of escape has vanished without a trace. The Momoto kid is trying to protect his sister on Chuba's back. Now, Momon, kindly let me dissect you while you're still able to breathe. I know a person on the verge of death when I see one. In your case, the medical term would be hemorrhaging. Did you know that when you're about to die, your body's vital functions stop entirely, and that this is a sign of your organs shutting down? I don't know, Moses, I think that's kind of obvious, It's not a very interesting fun fact. Chuba, I'm sorry. Your wings must be in pain. I never meant for you to get hurt, but I had no choice but to make you my landmark. Landmark? What does he mean by that? You looked up at this building from the ground outside. How could anyone tell where I was, or where I'd try to get out from? The only way to let him know where to find me was for you, a flying demon bird, to be like a guide by landing on the roof in plain sight. I knew Moses would follow me up here. I knew I was going to need your help to get away. And when I sensed your power nearby, that's when I knew there really is such a thing as divine help. Barry. So yes, it is Barry, who we did see in the series before in a brief flashback interrogating one of the cards. Now here he is for real, looming over Moses. He's massive now, just like Brago. Him and Brago were similar in the last series. And he is here probably to save the day. I guess he climbed up, he jumped up, I don't know. Got up there somehow. Yo, Momon. You've got the face of a real man now, don't you? Yeah, that would be cool. It's interesting that Raikou chose to show him beforehand. I almost wonder if he didn't plan on having him save Momon at first here. But, in a sense, you could say it was set up to show that Barry is sort of a wandering, figure, still having evaded the bad guys, just to set that up. So Moses turns around. He, I'm not sure if he's just swinging his weapon around, I guess, trying to hurt Barry. But doesn't hit. Barry punches right through him, just like Brago punched Zillion's head off. um, actually, it's not really a punch. It's like a sort of a hand jab. Moses is he's pushed back. He's hit back by that attack, flipping around as many of Raiku's characters always do when they get flung back. And he is on the ground with a hole in his body that doesn't appear to have anything hanging out. This reminds me a lot of when Clear was injured by Astron, which was a more grievous injury that almost bisected him. But there were no visible organs or anything. Clear obviously has a very unique biology, I think even among Lumoto, where he was able to heal from that by just like weirdly regrowing his body. We don't really know if Clear even necessarily has organs. It seems like Moses probably does, given what he's about to do. We're just spared seeing them in the art. Maybe it would just be a little too gross or something. So he takes his toolbox, which he happened to land near. Actually, I think was he holding it, maybe? Yeah, he was holding it, so he was hit with it. And he injects himself with the anesthetic, and he starts operating on himself. It's a very interesting villain that we have here. Doesn't seem very strong. Obviously, presumably, he would not be able to survive this if he just let it lie. But he starts doing a crazy operation on himself with a lot of different tools and trying to stitch himself back together. What the hell? That guy's operating on his own body? I get it. I must have missed the orb that serves as his vitals. So, that's another reason he's able to survive is because he didn't hit the orb. Barry, these Umagon spells. Get them to Umagon. I'm about to... Momon, are you going to make it? Momon, pull yourself together. To Umagon. As Momon's about to fall over, two hands embrace his, hand with a ring on it. Momon! Yes, of course, it's L, Momon's partner. Not wearing a nun's habit anymore. Momon, are you okay? Please, you have to pull yourself together. It's me, it's L. Sister L, can you hear me? So Momon, he has a shocked look on his face, but he's so far gone, we don't really know if he can hear her. Your hand is so cold. Please hang in there, we're here to help. He does realize that it is Elle after all, and he begins to cry, as behind her he sees not just Barry, but three other figures. Zatch, Kyo, and standing behind them, a final person, with the book shining above. And behind him, something else. Of course, this is Sunbeam, Ponygon's partner. With the Ponygon sarcophagus, which I have lovingly recreated here, behind him. And this is Sunbeam. He's looking very bulky. I'll discuss that in a little bit. Very interesting kind of getup with the boots. They're very much like sort of a horse rider kind of outfit, I feel like. But still with the vest and the tie. And Ponygon's book shining very brightly above, possibly already with... well, the spell element is not already in it, but it's reacting to that. So, here we go. We are on the precipice of Ponygon finally returning. It only took 29 chapters, you might say. And that is the end. After Momon sees this, he cries with joy that his hopes have not been dashed. And I like that that's a nice final page to end the chapter on. As Elle embraces him. And that is the end of chapter 28 of Zatch Bell 2. So thank you to Zatch Bell Gamer for the translation and anyone who helped. Let's get into it. Not a huge fan of this chapter. I don't know if maybe you could tell from what I said on the server or from how I was reacting to those sections of the chapter. Um, it's there's plenty that I do like, and I would never be so blanket negative about Zatch Bell 2. You know, uh, there's an aspect of it where it's funny that I don't like it, right? And I might try to play that up. Um, but we'll go through the good and we'll go through the bad. To start with the good, I like the final page. I like that we're not just ending on another cliffhanger, like I said. Um, and I like that we are showing Momon's reaction and ending on that to give the through line of his Herculean efforts to uh, save Ponygon's spells. So let me read your chat messages here. Momon's thinking he's died and gone to heaven. Yeah, so like you say, back-to-back miracles. That's a little of the issue I have with this resolution to this section of the arc. And let me put my charger fell out of my computer. Like I've said, in other chapters that end in cliffhangers, which is most of them. There's definitely time for Raikou to continue this arc in a way that I do like. I speculated, I think, last time that this arc was still pretty far from over, and I think that could still be a strong possibility. There are two things that could possibly happen here. Either Moses and Libra are just going to get completely beaten by the group we have here now, or there is going to be some other element on the villain side that is going to make this a tougher fight, and possibly, pretty much, almost definitely the first team fight in the series. So my core issue with the chapter is something I've gone into before on these streams. It's just that it's another instance of the Zatch Bell 2 formula. There was, in terms of trying to make some humor out of it, I was like considering doing some weird thumbnail where I would like take like a baby formula bottle logo. I'd find a picture online and like edit Momon into it, or edit Zatch's face onto it. That would have been a little weird, and once again, like a little too much, But I did think of doing that. I like much better what I eventually came up with today for the thumbnail. But we've seen this several times before by now. Of the hero losing to the villains, the hero character, because they don't really have any spells. In Conchame's case, he did have a spell, but it wasn't enough. And then sort of, being just about to lose all hope. But then the heroes come in and ride in to save them. And now, sort of included in that is, they brought a sarcophagus with them and the partner of the Momoto. So, there's variations on this that have happened. Where in the Sherry arc, Sherry was already there, but the Zatch and Kyo came in with the Brago sarcophagus. In the Dr. Riddles arc, Dr. Riddles had Grub waiting on standby, and Vino, wheeled the Coral Q sarcophagus in. So it's, variations, but it's still very much at its core the same thing. And to have, like you said, Zatch Bell Gamer, back-to-back miracles is what really kind of annoys me here, where if it was just Barry, I would have been pretty okay with that. We know Barry's wandering, like I said. It's a little crazy, right? Like, it's definitely surprising, but I'd be willing to go with that. Because, and, it would still be a one-on-one, essentially one-on-one fight with Barry versus Moses. Momon is fully out of action right now. But then we get not only Zatch and Kyo, who I think are probably fully healed from the previous fight, but they were in a pretty bad state. But no, well, we saw them having fun in Vegas, which, by the way, I'm going to, weird aside, I'm going to Vegas 2 days from now, again. I was last in Vegas about a year and a half ago. I didn't expect to be going back this soon, but I'm meeting some online friends who I've known for over 15 years. They sometimes watch some of these streams. They don't really comment. Um, and I'm meeting them for the first time, so I'm super excited. And people who pay attention to my Zatch Bell streams might remember I once recorded a YouTube short about these streams in Vegas, in the very windy and dark Las Vegas desert. Once I was recording an update on these streams. So yeah, I'm going back, and it was a pretty sudden that we kind of scheduled this, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity, and we're just going to go pretty much just for the weekend. Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend. And I'm super excited. So maybe I'll see a dinner show with TM Lee there. I don't know. So with that little aside, Zatchable Gamer says, I think the spellbooks are definitely facilitating it without saying anything. They seem to be able to sense these things and are shining at Gash and Kiyomaro, transporting them as needed. So yeah, I'll go through both of your points in order. Moses, this I don't necessarily mind. I do think it is weird how Moses is specifically supposed to have really good sensory abilities like Momon, right? And that he was not able to sense Barry. However, he did describe his abilities in a way where he has to sort of be very focused on them and turn certain things on and off that he is sensing, that possibly he might not have seen it coming. You know, he was focused on what he was doing right there, holding Chuba hostage. And, you know, I don't mind also the type of villain who is just very intelligent, but also pretty weak-bodied, you know. I don't really mind that either. That's an interesting type of villain, you know, to have a villain who is obviously, you know, proficient in one thing and not so proficient at another. So that aspect I'm not too annoyed by. Zatch and Kyo being there, yeah, I think it's like totally unneeded. Let's not have all the heroes bash down the door at once, you know? I think, you know, Zatch and Kyo need to be there in order for Sunbeam to be there and for L to be there. So I understand why Raikou had to have them come with the whole gang. But, I mean, we now have Barry, L, Sunbeam, Zatch, Kyo, Ponygon. That's 6 people that come in to save Momon. That's just kind of ridiculous, you know? It's too much. It's too much. You know, I feel like there would have been a way for him to do this arc and then save Ponygon, as much as I really am looking forward to seeing Ponygon, for the next arc. And, you know, now we're going to get focus on Ponygon next chapter, and are we even going to get to see Barry fight? Are we going to get to see Zatch fight? You know, I think it's really just too many people. And that's an aspect of it. So, yeah, I mean, they brought the whole family band, you know, to save Momon, which, you know, great, but I mean, this is the last time Raikou can do this. I'll give him a pass 'cause I love him, and I love the series, you know, and I'm sure, you know, the fight that comes from this is going to be enjoyable, right? And hopefully the villains will have some good gambits on their side to make this a little more difficult. But it is just kind of silly, you know, to have these magical spell books that can just teleport the heroes wherever they are needed and anyone that they need to be there with them. So Elle is here, and look, like, once again, it's really nice to see Elle reunite with Momon. We don't know if she's a nun anymore. She doesn't have a habit. She has a ring on, which is interesting. That is, you know, very specifically shown to us in the first panel there that we see of her. So we'll have to see what's happened there next time. But she didn't really need to be there for this. Like, we don't have Momon's spells anyway. Like, it's nice for the moral support for Momon. Like, I understand that. But, you know, like, just have, like, a little less positivity. A little less, like, because now, even if I am going to enjoy whatever fight happens, it's just like, I know they're going to win. And, of course, they always win. But you have to feel like there's a chance that they won't, right? That's how, you know, that's how these stories are written. You want to have a little tension. And a lot of people were really buying into the tension in Zatch Bell 2, by the way. Raikou did similar to what Hiromu Arakawa did in Fullmetal Alchemist. She had a really genius tactic of killing off a character, good guy character, early on in the series, and thereby making it feel like the series had really high stakes where anyone could die at any moment, when in reality, the rest of the series is almost not like that at all. FMA actually like a fairly lighthearted series with a fairly low number of good guy deaths up until the very end, of course. But it's a long series, and she did something sort of genius where you watch YouTube reactors react to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I haven't seen too many, and you can tell it really works on them because they think everyone's always in danger at any moment. And I've seen this with Zatch Bell too. There's always a lot of speculation on, is this person going to die? Is this person going to die? And it's kind of worked on me because I thought Dr. Riddles died before he came back and he wasn't dead. So, in that regard, Raikou's done it pretty well. I didn't complain that much. I can go back and watch my reactions. I don't think I complained that much about the Coral Q thing because it was explained fairly well. Raikou took effort to explain it because it would have been silly otherwise. Where's that explanation right now? Barry was the one that could have been explained. Barry is the Coral Q of this arc. And then just to add everyone else onto that because the spell books, it's just a little ridiculous. I think I'm nearly done complaining about this because I don't want it to be the whole reaction segment of the stream. Zatchable Gamer says Belial or some high-ranking subordinate needs to interfere with these books somehow. Gil says he burned them all. Why is no one else taking that kind of initiative? Yeah, they got to do something about this because the hero is having a free pass to go back and forth to the Momoto world. And it's just like the series does have to change in general soon, because like it is just getting kind of samey every arc, and I've talked about this before. Where it's been fine up to now. We haven't had that many arcs, but we do need to start doing the team fights, which this might be one of. And just start kind of moving on to some developments that are going to make the plot a little different. To maybe have an arc with multiple fights that are kind of in the same location, like one of the bigger arcs from the first series. So that's not really something I'm complaining too much about with this chapter. I will start to complain if we just continue to move on to another Remoto and have, that part of the formula again, where it's like a solo fight of them against the cards and then they are saved by the heroes at the end. I find it really hard to believe that we would get that again. I think that's like really not going to happen. But I wish we didn't get it this time either. Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist, there's so much comedy in the show, and even when there's action sequences, it's still like so exciting. It's not overly gory for the sake of gore. It's just kind of a neat, like, sort of fun fantasy series that sort of like acts like it's something that's a lot darker and more disturbing. It's like I said, it's a very interesting series that she built, Hiromu Arakawa. I think she really is a talented creator. I haven't really looked too much at many of her other works, but yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist is it deserves a lot of the praise. I've read the manga of it. I have not seen the original anime, but she's very talented writing that story. And I think great monthly manga like Attack on Titan and hopefully Zatch Bell too. I think manga like Attack on Titan took from her pacing and plot development. So yeah, it's definitely going to turn to Animal's second half at some point, like you say. Yeah, I've talked a lot about that in these streams, and I don't know exactly how it's going to end up, but there is going to be a shift, I think, very soon into more team fights and more of a sustained plot that is less delineated by arcs where new characters are introduced. And of course, we're going to start getting more new characters introduced at a time, which is sort of what happens in this chapter with Barry and Ponygon. So my other complaint about the chapter, and this is pretty much the last one, is I don't really like how Sunbeam looks. I don't really think it looks like Sunbeam. And this I know is something that I'm not the only one who has said. I haven't seen too many other people say it. I think I saw one or two other people on the Discord. He looks younger than the Sunbeam we know. Sunbeam, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was early 30s in the original series, right? So by now, he should be in his mid 40s, I think. Why don't I move the chat over there? So for him to seemingly have gotten bigger and bulkier, and his face is wider, and his hair is more voluminous. Yeah, I mean, that's an artistic choice, so I won't complain about that. But it's odd. It's odd. I don't really like it. We actually saw a post time skip Sunbeam in the original series, which I liked a lot. Not only because he looked cool, but also because I think Sunbeam has been a character who is generally inspired by David Bowie, and especially after the 10-month time skip in the Clear Note arc, he has the long hair that Bowie had in the late 90s, early 2000s. So it would have been cool to see sort of maybe another sort of Bowie callback with this look. That's not really what we got. And, Raikou has time to refine and change how he draws Sunbeam these days, but I'm not really a fan. I don't know why he's so bulky and why he looks younger. Like, when you think about it, if he wasn't dressed this way, I don't really know how much we would know it was Sunbeam. And remove the sarcophagus and the spellbook and anything else. This is why we know it's him. If you saw this guy and he was dressed in a suit like Apollo, I don't know. It would be a little up for debate. Like, I think you've got a lot of people who know it was him. I think you've got a lot of people speculating maybe it's not him. So Sunbeam was 32. That's what I thought. So we should be 45 now. This doesn't really, I know manga characters are supposed to look younger, but if Sunbeam before was 32, he definitely shouldn't look like this at 45. It's, Raikou's mostly done very well with bringing characters back and how they look. And so that's why I'm a little annoyed at this. Is because he's done this really well. Even with characters like Sherry, who their story events maybe weren't so good. So, yeah, it's a little lame. Momon, even Momon's post-time skip appearance ended up being a blessing in disguise. It's a very interesting decision. I would have almost preferred that Raikou takes sort of a swing like that on doing something with Sunbeam. If he had an eye patch or if he was frail or, who knows what. If he's in a wheelchair. I would have almost preferred that to what we got. So Elle doesn't look like she's aged at all, which doesn't surprise me too much. Especially Japanese media often tends to be kinder to female characters after long periods of time. See Resident Evil, where none of the female characters have aged, look like they've aged a day since the late 90s. But it's nice to see Elle again. That's, I don't expect too much different from Elle. And I always really liked her as a character. She was part of why Momon was one of my favorites in the original series. And I like seeing her back to support Momon. And I'm looking forward to seeing how her and Sunbeam are acquainted these days. So yeah, I'm not complaining about that too much. I'd almost rather he would have done that for Sunbeam and just had him look the same. Sunbeam's one of those old dudes who uses revitalizing tricks to look younger, like that CEO guy who tries to stop his own aging. Who knows? Who knows? I think Raikou gets a lot of feedback from fans. I'm sure I'm not the only one saying this stuff. I don't think he's really going to change it. But, we gotta deal with what we got. Uh, Something that's obviously really very exciting is that Ponygon's finally coming back. You know, I mean, we speculated on this a bunch over the past probably like year and a half or something, um, and now we're finally gonna see him. I see no way we would not see Ponygon next chapter. So we're gonna get to know if he can talk. We're gonna get. He's got he's got a little air hole now. That's we'll make that look a little less weird. Uh, we're gonna get to know how he can better utilize his spells, which we've seen from a lot of the characters in their first post time skip appearances where they have spells. And we're gonna see, you know, if he's gotten a lot bigger, if he's more horse-like, similar to how he appeared at the end of the first series. And yes, we are going to see if Ponygon can possibly get new spells. I would say I don't think he will at this point, because of how many characters we have, because we now have 3 good guy combatants here. I think we have enough on our side to use. But Barry probably doesn't have any spells. So in that regard, maybe Ponygon will need a little extra something to help them in this fight. So Ponygon, very excited, and you know, I feel like I'm a broken record because I've said this. I want to know, when was the last time I said this? Probably when Zatch and Kyo saved Tia, right? That was the last like instance of the formula that I really like didn't like. Excuse me. And I said it back then. I said it already this stream, and I'll say it again that I probably will enjoy whatever happens next. Raikou is always good at fights, and I look forward to seeing hopefully what he'll do with Moses and Libra. I think they're a really interesting pair. I hope that he gives Moses more weird stuff to do, and you know, that's an example of something where I really can suspend my disbelief because it's really interesting and unique. Is, you know, Moses being able to do this like rapid surgery and create life in a matter of minutes. You know, that Dr. Frankenstein can eat his heart out on that one. And hopefully, you know, he won't be down for the count after this. And if he is, hopefully we'll see some Libra do some other stuff, or we'll see the other enemies put the heroes on the back foot in some way. I think that's probably all we have to say for now. What'd you not realize? The Frankenstein connection? There's some other stuff with the series to talk about. There is a new merch event coming to Japan. I don't know if the merch is available to order online yet, but you can look at it. And it features new cute art, not Raikou style, but sort of it's a new style by some other artist, of a lot of different pairs from the series. Probably the most we've seen in any of these merch events. There was the one a while back where they had the art of all the characters with paint, where they were painting and painting clothes and they had paint on them. And this is definitely more pairs than that. This one has Patty and Yuri are in this one. And they're the main thing they're selling are these acrylic standees, which is, you know, is always a lot of these. I actually have one right here, not from Zatch Bell, but from Super Princess Peach. Not a Japanese one. This is a pre-order bonus. This has always just been on my table since I got this game. But I do have some Zatch Bell ones in the room back there. I have a Fulgore one. And these events always have them. And the standees for this event are going to be these very cool ones that have art of the characters in the front, and behind them a whole collage of manga panels featuring those characters from the manga. And that seems pretty neat. I might want to get one of those. So yeah, Zatch Bell Gamer says, this is an interesting angle. This isn't necessarily what I was referring to, but yeah, that Moses is sort of playing into a religious angle by creating life and being like a god. That is somewhat interesting. I don't know if that's intentional to play on Mohan's thing with Elle being a nun, though Elle would probably be quite disturbed by Moses. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't buy merch too much either. Um, I did not buy the Proplica, but I probably should at one point. The last merch I got was Ponygon. Before that, the last new merch I got was the Shin Owen Festival, where I got several things. But I wouldn't mind getting some more. And these stands that they're doing as part of the new one look cool. And it's just good. Always good to see something happening with the franchise. And I always say this. I said this last stream. Zatch Bell is great at reviving in some way. When a door closes, like the mobile game, which is going to end in a few days, another one opens. And for now, that's the merch event. Soon it might be something else. Raiku's tweeted about how the licensing department has meetings. Now that's Zatch Bell Gamer. You preempted me by about 1 second. He tweeted that he has been, having meetings with the licensing department, going over contracts for things. And, who knows what that could be. It's very exciting. It could be anything. I joked on the Discord that it could be Zatch Bell on Ice. I don't think that's going to happen, but they did have One Piece on Ice, which I think was a big success over there in Japan. Very funny to watch clips of that. But whatever it is, it's exciting. I think the odds of it being something really huge are just as good as the odds of it being something small. So it could really be anything, and I don't mean to downplay expectations by saying that. It could easily be something huge. So oh my god, that's not what I meant. It's not what I meant. That does remind me of the horrible ice skating accident from the most recent season of The Boys, where there were some casualties on the rink. So yes, almost as always, future looks bright for Zatch Bell. Despite being somewhat negative about this chapter, I'm not going to be negative about that. Beyond that, I think that is it for now. I don't see any reason for us to get a delay next month. I think, everybody's clamoring for Ponygon. I think we will see him. And that'll be still in a few weeks, about 3 weeks. But when that chapter drops, hopefully it'll be really cool and exciting, and I'll do a stream quickly. We'll see about that. But for now, One Piece is back right now. It's really ramping up the arc it's on. That's very exciting. I'm reading this really great newer manga by the author of One Punch Man 1 called Bug Ego, which is so good so far. It's, I think, 5 or 6 chapters in. And I mean, the creativity that this guy has is like really something in modern day in manga. And I don't read too many manga, so I'm sure there's some authors I'm missing. But among the people I do read, one is like really special. And I would highly recommend this series. It was on Manga Plus. I think it is now on Viz's Shonen Jump site as well. You can read all chapters right there now for free without needing to pay for a subscription or anything. And it's such a bizarre, funny, creative series with this artist. The artist who does it is so good. Like, one worked with Murata on One Punch Man. He works with this other guy for this one who clearly uses a lot of live action people as references. And he uses that to great effect for comedy and for horror, for horrific things that happen. And some of the punchlines in this series so far have been so funny and so good. Stuff that's made me laugh out loud, which I don't often do in manga. So I'm going to weirdly end the stream on a big recommendation for Bug Ego by one who just continues to knock it out of the park. One of our best manga creators right now running I do need to catch up on the One Punch Man webcomic as well that he does. And I don't know, beyond that, I'm not doing too much in terms of the anime zone. Waiting for that next Madoka movie to come out. And the Madoka game, the Madoka mobile game, which, I'll try to get into on the expectation that, similar to Zatch Bell, Friends of Eternal Bonds, it may not last. Anyway, I think we're going to leave it there for tonight. It's getting pretty late. It's close to midnight now. Thanks for tuning in, Zatch Bell Gamer. Anyone else who does come to watch this stream in the future, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment with your thoughts on the chapter, and I will respond. And, despite the complaints, I'm still really enjoying the series, and I'm going to keep doing streams on it as long as I can. Oh, yeah, we can talk about Squid Game another time. Really enjoyed the season, though. So, yes, thank you, everyone, for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good night.